evening, and welcome to Creative Broadcasting, the station of unlimited possibilities. Presents Creating Your Seat at the Table with your host, Ashley Little, as she welcomes her guest to the table.
By day, entrepreneur by night, five-time best-selling author, CEO and founder of Ashley Little Enterprises, LLC, owner and creator of Creative Broadcasting, and founder and owner of Talk Radio and TV Network, LLC. Tonight, we have an amazing special VIP guest by the name of Lakesha Womack. A little bit about her. Lakesha Womack is the owner and lead consultant with Womack Consulting Group. For the past 15 years, the firm has provided brand management, leadership training, strategic planning, and political consultants to clients across the globe through retreats, seminars, and one-on-one consultations with professionals, not-for-profit organizations, churches, colleges, universities, and businesses. She has served as a business development presenter for numerous chambers of commerce and professional organizations, including the Black Enterprise Entrepreneurs Conference and the Black Enterprise Women of Power Summit. In addition to providing growth strategies for organizations, Lakesha also specializes in working newly formed teams, fractured teams, and board of directors to teach leadership and professional development strategies that enhance communication, increase emotional intelligence, and improve organizational effectiveness. Lakesha is active in her community as a member of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Queen City Metropolitan Chapter. Lakesha has a bachelor's degree from Vanderbilt University, is a graduate of the Campaign School at Yale University, and is pursuing a master's degree from Chicago Theological Seminary. As a member of the Forbes Coach Council, Lakesha contributed more than 40 business tips to their expert panel forum. She is a contributor to the Amazon bestseller, Speak Up, The Ultimate Guide to Dominate in the Speaking Industry. She is a published author of 14 additional books and has been featured in numerous publications and interviews providing financial literacy tips, business advice, and community engagement strategies. She also hosts quarterly retreats for busy professionals to unplug from the day-to-day hustle and bustle of life and reset their goals while refocusing on their purpose. Welcome to the table, the amazing Lakesha Womack.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be with you guys.
You are welcome. I'm excited to have you here. I know the audience is going to learn a lot of amazing nuggets from you tonight. So let's talk about your amazing entrepreneur journey.
Sounds good. Where do you want me to start?
Wherever you would like. Tell us about your entrepreneur journey, how you got started, and where you are now.
Okay. Well, I started my business 15 years ago. I am a mom by choice, and when I decided to have my son, I knew I wanted to stay home with him, but I also knew that I needed to make money. And so I started just doing like odd jobs for people. So when he was a baby, I would work while he was sleeping, and then as he grew, I would work while he was in school, and usually when he came home from school, then that was when I shut it down. And so he's turning 15 this year, just as my business is turning 15, and so the business has grown with him. And so as he's become more independent, I've been able to become, busier, because now I'm able to travel more and just step out and engage in more activities for the business. I offer business development solutions to entrepreneurs, to small business owners, to not-for-profits, colleges, churches, and basically I go in and assess what people are doing and help them to figure out how they can do it better and how they can generate multiple streams of income based on whatever their passion or their pursuit is. And it's been a blessing to do this for the past 15 years.
Amazing. I'm sure we have some listeners that can definitely benefit from getting organized and getting back on track to make sure they're utilizing all of their areas of opportunities, right? Because I think a lot of people don't see that sometimes you never know unless you have, those mentors and those consultants and coaches to help you make sure you don't leave money on the table.
Exactly. And that's actually what made me go into consulting. I had a friend who was in business school at Vanderbilt, and he was getting ready to do an internship. And I was asking, about, what he was interested in. And he said he was going to be consulting with a tobacco company. And being from a small town in southern Alabama, I had no idea what consultants did. So I was like, well, what does that look like? What do you do? And he said, I go in and look at, what the organization is doing, and I help them to do it better. I help them to become more efficient. And so I started, looking at, small business owners, and I'm like, well, who goes in and tells them how to do it better? Who helps the small mom and pop shop learn how to scale or learn how to build a professional brand? And a lot of times you see people who have small businesses, and they're doing the best that they know how. And 15 years ago, there weren't a lot of consultants and coaches in the market. Like now you can find a consultant or coach almost anywhere you look. But back then, there weren't a lot of people who were operating in that space. And so it was, definitely a joy to help people who didn't know where to get answers, or who didn't know how to scale their business, or didn't know how to establish a solid foundation, to put those things in place so that they could grow.
I love that. Love that, love that, love that. So you are passionate about providing growth strategies for organizations. So tell us more about your passion. I know you just spoke a little bit about it. So let's go a little bit deeper into it. What are you finding when you're out there working with different companies and organizations? What are some things that you're finding that they're more common with our business owners and not-for-profits and all that?
I think the biggest thing that I find is that people think that growth is about bringing new people in versus looking at their current operations and how do you keep the clients that you have currently. So, most statistics will tell you that it's cheaper to keep the clients that you have than it is to go out and get new clients. And typically when you do a really good job servicing the clients that you have, one, they're going to come back for additional products, and then two, they're going to refer you to other people. And building a referral-based business is a lot better in the long run than going out and trying to get new clients because you're always selling yourself. That's one of the blessings of my business is that most of my clients come to me through referrals, so I don't have to sell them on my services because they've already heard about what I do. They have some idea, so the only question becomes what exactly can I do for them and how much is it going to cost? And so I think that a lot of times people spend a lot of energy trying to attract new customers instead of making sure that they're doing a great job with the people that they have or the people that they've worked with in the past 3 to 5 years to make sure that they're offering products and services that meet their needs so that they can go and tell other people how awesome the business is.
And that's so important. So thank you for sharing it and shining light. So, Lakesha, what are some strategies you would like to share with listeners about leadership and development? Because I know you're very big on that too. So, what are some strategies you would like to share with our?
Yeah, definitely. One of the strategies that I try to impart into leaders constantly is the concept of emotional intelligence. And that's the ability to not only manage your own emotions, but then to also read the emotions of others, and then to be able to communicate effectively. And I see, like, so often people go into situations and they're led by their emotions. And when you're operating in business or you're operating as a leader, you can't really afford to be led by your emotions. You have to sometimes take your emotions off the table and make rational decisions. Of course, you want to be compassionate and you want to make sure that you understand the other person's point of view, but, let's say, you're angry about something. That's really not the time that you call someone into your office to have a serious conversation with them. You need to be able to figure out what's the root of your anger and then what's going to be the best solution, the best conversation to handle and lead to a solution. Especially in like the digital age, with social media, I see so many people who, go on social media and they're just saying all kinds of crazy things. And it's like, well, I can be who I want to be and, say what I want to say. And I always, warn them, you don't know how different audiences are perceiving the message that you're putting out. So just because you feel it in that moment, you're not taking into consideration how different people might perceive that. And somebody might think that, you're going off about them, especially if it's one of your customers. They don't know you very well, and you're talking about, another customer and their situation. So I just tell people, really understand like how you process information, be able to calm your own emotions, be aware of your own emotions, and then, be attentive to the emotions of other people. When you're able to read people and have an understanding of where they're coming from, it makes negotiations a lot easier also. So emotional intelligence, if someone is interested in the subject, I suggest that, do a Google search, do some emotional intelligence quizzes so that you can figure out, what are some blind spots that you might have. And if you can master your own emotions and the emotions of others, you're going to be a great leader.
Yes, that emotional intelligence is so important. Thank you for sharing that. You're right. And I think people don't understand that social media is powerful, right? It is so powerful. So be careful what you post. And, you're right. Everybody has different perspectives, So, for our business owners, be careful, because once you post it, it's out there. It's out there.
Exactly. And people think, if they have a private page or, depending on their settings. And I'm like, have you heard of screenshot? Because I can't tell you how many times like someone has said something or posted something and then someone sent me a screenshot of it. And I may not even be following that person or, may know nothing about them. But because someone who is inside of your circle has access to that information, they still have the ability to make it public. So I don't believe in like this whole privacy thing. Like anything that you put on the internet, you should be prepared that somebody's going to see it. And in fact, like anything that you say in a public space, because now, people are recording when you're doing presentations or when you're doing speeches or just having conversations. Like people are recording you and you don't even know it. So just, be careful with the words that you use, because they do have power and they can come back to bite you if you're being disingenuous.
Yep, love that. So what are some strategies you would give to listeners who are trying to grow in the speaking industry? Because I know you were a part of that amazing book, Speak Up, and it was a bestseller. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, for our listeners that want to continue to grow in the speaking industry, what are some strategies you would give to those listeners?
Well, so I'm a platform partner for the Black Speakers Network, and I do a lot of the speaker sheets for speakers. And so I see a lot of people who come and they want to get their speaker sheet done because they're ready to break into the speaking industry. They're ready to start getting paid for their presentations. And so the first thing that I always ask is, what do you speak about? And so I think that every person who's interested in developing a serious speaking business needs to have at least 3 signature presentations. And not only to have the title of those presentations, but to also be able to summarize, like, what are you going to say? And I always tell people, like, you and I, we can both do a workshop on the mastering the millionaire mindset. But the way you approach it and the way that I approach it is probably going to be 2 very different things. So when you're pitching yourself to an event planner, you have to know not only what you speak about, but what are you going to say when you're speaking to their audience? And what is the expected outcome of that presentation? And event planners really appreciate that because they don't want a surprise. Like, they don't want you to come to their event and you get on stage and you go total left field on them. So that also includes, having a speaker reel. And if you aren't at the place where you have, a full, razzle-dazzle speaker reel, make sure that when you do a presentation that someone records at least a clip of you speaking so that event planners can get a feel for your speaking style. Set it up either on your Facebook business page, or if you have like a website for your speaking business, or if you just have a YouTube channel, but have a playlist that has specifically your clips of you speaking so that you can share with event planners what you sound like and what the context of your speaking is. So I tell speakers to start out with knowing what you're going to talk about, and then it's so much easier to pitch to different event planners. When you're just getting started, you're probably going to have to do some free and some low fee speaking engagements, and that's okay until you build up your resume, because most people aren't going to come out the gate getting those 5,000, 10,000 speaking engagements. Some people might, but for the most part, you're not. So you're going to have to pay your dues and build up your resume. Just get yourself on stage so that you can hone your craft, that you can get really good at whatever your presentation is, and then you can start commanding those higher fees. And most importantly, most people who build a serious speaking business have at least 1 book. And I tell people you don't make a lot of money from the book, but the book helps to add credibility and make sure that you get someone who knows what they're doing when it comes to publishing, because I've seen some people, I opened up the book and it looks like a third grader published it. So make sure you have someone who, can help you produce a professional product, because it helps to add credibility and it helps to add a revenue stream when you're going to different events.
I love that. Thank you for shining a light on that and talking about how most people in their speaking businesses, they have a book, right? It adds credibility. And
yep.
Thanks for sharing that, because a lot of people, I really believe having that book creates a platform for you, right? It creates a platform.
It does.
And then also having some type of voice in the media, to build,
exactly.
to continue to help build your brand. So what are your thoughts?
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Some people say, well, I don't have enough content for a book. And my thing is, like, if you don't have enough content for a book, then you're probably not ready to make speaking a business for you. Because if you're, out here asking people to pay you like 10, even like, $2,500 for a speaking engagement, then you should have enough content that you can put into a book. And so if you haven't gotten to that level, then you probably need to become an expert in your industry. And I think that that's undervalued sometimes, because people think like, oh, I just want to be on the stage, but they're not an expert at anything. So it's like, well, who's going to, and I hate to, be like that, direct with people, but I'm just like, who's going to pay you if you're not an expert in your industry? Why would somebody write you a check that has a comma in it if you haven't shown yourself to be an expert in the industry? And a lot of times people think that, being social media popular is going to be the key, but, you can have 1,000 followers on, Instagram and still not be an expert in your industry. If you're really trying to make it in the speaking industry and to build a name for yourself, then you want to have a network of people who are in your industry and who can vouch for what you're saying, and that you're proving yourself to be an expert, where people actually listen and go to you for advice about whatever that speaking topic is.
I love that. So let's talk about your quarterly retreats that you have for our business professionals. So let's talk about those that you host those quarterly to help business owners and entrepreneurs unplug, right, and refocus so they can continue to walk in their purpose. So let's talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, so one of the things that I realized working with my clients, and as much as I love doing, like, the monthly consulting calls, I realized, like, I don't get the maximum out of my clients because they're still trying to juggle like 5 or 6 different things. And so I started hosting these quarterly retreats where I take them away. I think like the next 3 that we have coming up, we have a historic retreat in Charleston. We're doing a spa retreat in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and then a wine retreat in Napa Valley, California. And so for 3 days, like, they're able to just unplug from the hustle and bustle of life, and we eat good food, tour or a spa or whatever, the city is that we're in. But then we also have some sessions where we're doing vision casting, where it's like, dare to dream. If you could go back and change your life, like, what would it look like? And then we start looking at goal setting. So if these are the things that you want to achieve in your life, what needs to change? And then we go into actually developing a strategic plan. So it's like, now that we have the vision, we have the goals, like, what is the actual action plan that needs to be implemented when you get back? And most professionals absolutely love it because it's not like a conference where you go and you're in session after session, and so when you get home, you're like, okay, I need a vacation from the conference. But then it's not a vacation where you've been relaxed for like 3 or 4 days, and so you get back and you have like all this stuff that you realize that you need to do. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds, where we're doing some work and then we have some play. So when you go back home, you are ready to hit the ground running and implement the strategies that we discussed over that weekend. So it's so much fun. Usually the groups are limited to about 6 or 7 people because I really want them to get to know each other, but then for me to be able to invest that time into, hearing their ideas and helping them to create those game plans. And it's just amazing to see, how people start to implement once they get back from the retreat.
I love it. So how can listeners get involved and attend your retreat?
So they can go to my website, womackcg.com, and the retreat it says Reset, Refocus Retreat, and so they can see the date So I think we have like the first weekend in June, September, and December for the rest of the 2020 retreats. And so they can go on there and register. The retreats are all-inclusive. So once you pay your registration fee, that covers your hotel room for the weekend. It covers all of your meals while we're there. It covers your transportation. So I say once you pay the registration, all you have to do is get yourself there, and then we take care of everything else, and then whatever activities we have planned. Because that's the other thing. Like a lot of times you go, and then you're like, oh, and I got to pay for food. I got to worry about, how I'm going to eat. Like I don't want the attendees to have to worry about anything once they come on site. Like we totally take care of you and just help you to leave refreshed and refocused.
I love it. So listeners, go get involved. Go register for these amazing retreats that Lakesha is doing to help us unplug and be better at what we're doing. So thank you for creating those spaces, Lakesha, because those spaces are needed.
Yeah, definitely.
So you have continuously built and consistently built multiple tables for yourself. So I ask all of my guests this question. How did you create your seat at the table?
I created my seat at the table because, so just a little background. I grew up in a really small town of about 10,000 people in the whole county. And so I always knew that I wanted to do something different. And, in small towns, the idea of success is like you become a teacher, a lawyer, or a doctor, or you do something like that. And I knew that wasn't the path that I wanted. And so I worked a lot of different jobs and just, never really felt like I found my place until I started my own business. And I didn't know that, I wasn't supposed to do this and that I wasn't supposed to be successful. So I've always just prided myself. I consider myself a nerd in cool kids clothing. So I always want to be the best. I always want to be the smartest. I always want to know the most in the room. And I think that has allowed me to create my seat at the table, because when you are, what some people consider an expert in your industry, even people who don't like you realize like they have to come to you for information, because a lot of times like you possess a knowledge base that they don't have or that they need in some areas. So I tell people, don't get so caught up in, the politics of organizations or who likes you or who doesn't like you. Focus yourself on being the most knowledgeable and the expert in whatever industry you're in or whatever company you work for. Always make sure that, that you're always studying and you're always, doing continuous education, and that you're always abreast of the latest trends in the industry, because when you're one of the smartest people in your organization, whether people like you or not, like they have to respect you. And I think that's been the key for me, is just to always, try to make sure that I know everything about whatever it is that I tell people that I do.
I love that. And you have consistently reached back and created room for others at the table. And so I just want to thank you for creating those spaces and being able to continue to help our business owners continue to make multiple streams of income and not leave any money on the table.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I think, a lot of times people think that they have to have, like 5 or 6 different side hustles. And my thing is, figure out what is that main thing that you want to do. And usually there are different ways that you can package that to make money. So like for me, because I do consulting, and then I also have coaching, and then I also have the books, and then I also have the speaking engagements, and then I do the retreats, and I do, seminars and keynotes. And so all of that is based on this core thing, which I love to do, which is teaching and sharing information. So once people identify what that core thing is, then you can create like 5 or 6 different revenue streams. So one month you may sell a lot of books, or one month you may have a lot of speaking engagements. But when you have 5 or 6 different options, then there's almost always going to be something that's going to be popping at one time or another. And sometimes you have a really great month where 3 or 4 of them are popping, and you're like, yes, let's keep this flow going. But, inevitably something falls off. But as long as you have multiple streams, then there'll always be 1 or 2 that's going to be doing better than the others.
Love that. And thanks for shining a light on that for our business owners that are listening. So on your journey, we all have our journey. We all have a process. So what did failure teach you on your journey?
Failure has taught me that as long as you learn the lesson, it's not really a failure. So I remember I did an interview once, and I had, attempted to host like this event, and it just didn't go well. And the young lady who was interviewing me, she was like, well, what did it feel like to fail? And I was like, I don't know what you mean, because I didn't consider it a failure. Like, it didn't go the way I wanted it to go, but I learned a lot from the experience. And based on what I learned from that experience, I was able to monetize that and use it as, another coaching service that I offered to my clients. So I tell people, like, so often we get caught up in, things that don't go right and things that don't go our way. But I always look at, like, well, what's the lesson here? Or how could I have done it better? And then I either use that to improve myself, or, and most times, I use it to help improve my clients, because inevitably they're going to go through something very similar. And because I already know, like, what it looks like for it not to work, I can help them figure out how to make it work.
I love that, because it is a lesson, right? It is a lesson.
Yeah.
We have to embrace it. It's a lesson to help us get to our next level, right? And a lot of people don't like being uncomfortable, but it's good to be uncomfortable. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah,
so,
I tell people, like, nothing grows without changing. Like, so if you're not willing to change, if you're not willing for things, to fall apart sometimes so that they can be put back together, then you're really not in a position to grow. Like, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to, for things not to work out so well in order for you to get to that next level. Because if you just keep doing things the way you're doing them, you're going to keep getting what you're already getting.
And what did success teach you? Because you're very successful.
Well, I have a 14-year-old son, so it's hard to consider myself successful because he keeps me very humble. So it's like, no matter like how many people I'm speaking in front of or how many books I write, he's just like, Mom, what's for dinner? Like, I need to get my hair cut. So he keeps me grounded. So I don't really focus as much on my success. Like, I'm always looking for the next thing, or I'm always looking at how can I do it better. So even when it's good, like, it's never good enough for me. I'm always looking for, like, the next level that I can get to, the next stage that I can get to. Like, if I spoke to 100 people this week, like, I want 200 people next week. Like, I'm always looking to just take it to the next level. So maybe when I get to, like, Oprah status, then I'll be like, yeah, so success has taught me. But for right now, like, I feel like I'm still on the journey and I'm still learning.
I love that. Because that's so important. And everybody's journey is different. So enjoy your journey. Yeah. So we are in a new year, in a new decade. So what can we expect from you in this new year of 2020?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. I don't really know. Like, the year has, like, started off with such a bang. I think I'm going into this weekend, like, probably on my 12th speaking engagement. So I feel like I'm doing a lot more speaking and teaching this year, which is amazing because that's what I love doing. Like, I love teaching and training people. So I think that you'll probably see me doing more of that, a lot of travel. So I'm enjoying, like, being all over the country. And hopefully, like, I think I have a couple of international trips planned toward the end of the year. So if the coronavirus doesn't, ground all traffic, then I'm looking forward to, getting out of the States a couple of times and spreading my wings a little bit more.
I love that. Congratulations on all the great things that you're about to birth in this new decade and new year. And, yes, we're not going to let that coronavirus stop us from going out of the country.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And congratulations to you because you are having, like, a phenomenal year as well. So keep doing what you're doing. Like, it's amazing. And you are an inspiration to so many people.
Thank you so much, Lakesha. I am humble. God is amazing. He does get all the credit. And as I stated, you are consistently always doing amazing things and reaching back. So I want to give kudos to you again. And, yes, doing the speaker sheet, the consulting, all the great things that you do to help others is amazing.
Yeah, it's truly a blessing. And it's interesting. A few years ago, I went through a rebranding with my company, and I had to decide, as a minister, did I want to bring my faith into my business? And I realized there's no way I can do what I do without my faith. And so that has been a huge part of the work that I do. I've been doing more work with churches lately around leadership development and growth strategies. And so that's been really interesting as well to add that industry, because a lot of people don't consider churches as an industry that needs training. And I think that when people of faith use their secular skills in the church and help it to operate more efficiently, then churches are able to win more souls. So that's been definitely a joy to branch off into.
Love that. Now, like I said, continue to keep shining, okay? So please tell our listeners, you are welcome. Please tell our listeners how they can follow you and support you on all social media platforms.
So you can find me on any social media at Lakesha Womack. I tell people if you're serious about building your brand, whenever a new platform comes out, always go and reserve your name. Even if you don't know what the platform is and you don't know if you're going to use it, go reserve your name. So you can find me on Lakesha Womack, no I's in my name, on any social media platform. You can go to my website, womackcg.com, and that's basically the hub for all of the books that I've written, for the retreats, for the services, from speaker branding to business consulting to marketing. I do self-publishing consulting. So pretty much everything that you need, you can find it at womackcg.com.
So please follow her and support her on all social media platforms. Lakesha is definitely somebody to know and someone to connect with for our listeners that are listening. So go follow her and support her today. So, Lakesha, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very, very busy schedule to come to the table tonight. This has been an amazing interview, and I can't wait to invite you back to the table.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for creating the table for people to come and share this information. I pray that your listeners have been blessed by the information that we've shared.
Yes, and I'm sure they was. And I hope everybody was writing because you shared some amazing nuggets that can help us all. And I look forward to working with you and collaborating with you in this new year.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lakesha. So I would like to give a special thanks to my intern, Sarah, from Tennessee State University, and my intern, Vontaria, from Winston-Salem State University. You all may follow me on Facebook at Ashley Little and on Instagram at _Ashley A. Little. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Creating Your Seat at the Table, where Ashley speaks with corporate professionals, celebrities, entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers who are transitioning or have transitioned to entrepreneurship.